Yo, what's up, guys? C-Jax back with another Raw recap, and this episode was awful. However, Jey Uso winning the Intercontinental Championship was awesome. This was unexpected. It was unpredictable. Throughout the whole night, they did a decent job of building to it, with Joe Tessitore saying comments like, it's been 14 years. It's been 14 years for Jey. It's been 14 years. They built up to it, and earlier today, I actually predicted that Jey was going to win this match. I don't know why. I had a feeling. It was awesome. The crowd was yeeting. The main event itself was great. I mean, the selling was good in it. The super kicks, the near falls. Like I said, the unpredictability, the spears. We're going to get into this later on in the recap, but I needed to start with this because seeing this happen, this dude is massively over. He's been succeeding with the tasks and the storylines he's been given for months, and to see him finally get this moment of winning his first singles belt is awesome. I just hope that this reign is not like a Cody Rhodes reign where like a lot of people wanted it to happen, and then it did, and then it sucked. But I think Jay's gonna have a much better reign, and I'll get into reasons for that later. But anyways, the first thing that happened on Raw was Rhea and Liv in an awful segment. Liv Morgan comes out with Dominic Mysterio. She does this weird nose thing, and it's just it's like their nose scrunching or whatever. It's like, oh my boy, Daddy Dom, Daddy Dom. You know, it's just dumb. It's annoying at this point, and I don't care about it. Liv Morgan basically cuts a nobody cares promo, the same stuff she's been saying for months now, basically well, you know, Rhea, I took everything from you, Rhea. I have the world title, which she's only defended I think 2 or 3 times in 4 or 5 months, so that's great. She's really good champion, guys. She cuts mid promos and doesn't wrestle. Reminds me of every other current champion on the roster right now. Anyways, I'm actually laughing at my own joke, but yeah, she pretty much does that. And, she says absolutely nothing. Rhea Ripley comes out and follows it up and gives her another nothing, so now you have a nothing burger of nonsense. But Rhea Ripley basically comes out, does her usual, you took everything from me except for my title. I didn't lose it. I never lost it, and I'm going to take it back from you, yeah? I'm going to beat you up, yeah? And Dominic Mysterio is now going to be in a shark cage above the ring at Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley's title match at Bad Blood. And I have 3 questions walking out of this promo, okay? So follow me here. First question. Why is Dominic Mysterio being put in a shark cage above the ring? Number 2, why does this matter that he's above the ring? Number 3, if you really did not want Dominic to get involved, why couldn't you just bar him from ringside or ban him from showing up or something like that? Why does he have to be in a shark cage, and why should we care about this? What, seriously, I don't care. You don't care, and nobody cares. It's absolutely nonsensical how they continue to get away with this just stupid storylines with Liv and Rhea. They are dragging this thing out like crazy. And the crazy thing is, I personally do not care about this story anymore. I stopped caring pretty much after SummerSlam, because it's what do you do now? Rhea's going to win it back eventually. It's just a matter of waiting, and Triple H makes us wait 9 months for stories on average. So, I mean, I don't even understand this, man. This is just dumb. I find it annoying, and I'm not interested in this story whatsoever. So now you have a pointless guy sitting in a shark cage above the match. He literally should be pointless in this feud. It should really be between Rhea and Liv, but instead everything's about Dominic Mysterio and the Judgment Day, because Liv Morgan is irrelevant, and once she loses this championship, she will go back to being an absolute and utter jobber. Now we get to the next thing, and I'm going to run through a lot of these events that happen on Raw because I have bad news. Let me rant on this for a little bit. This episode of Raw had average of at least 15 commercial breaks per hour. At least 10 commercial breaks per hour. It was insane. I think we only have 2 or 3 matches on Raw total in a 3-hour show, and there's no wrestling. What is happening anymore on these shows? It's all advertisements. I'm it's a 3-hour show, and we're getting way more ads than normal, I felt like, during this episode. I mean, it felt like I was moving in quicksand. It's like time stopped, bro. That's literally what it felt like. It was ridiculous. It's like Thanos has the time stone or something like that. Time just stops, and I'm just sitting there bored out of my mind, watching nonsense commercials, and nothing happening. You get this funny New Day segment, which was actually pretty cool. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, Kofi's making jokes or whatnot, and, he's basically calling this guy over with a pancake stack to celebrate the New Day, and then Alpha, what's the thing called? What's the team called, man? The new group. American Made. Yeah, those jobbers. They basically come out, and they're in the backstage, and they're like, yeah, let's fight later tonight, da-da-da-da, the usual stuff. And then we get New Day versus Alpha Cat, or let's keep calling them Alpha Academy, American Made, later in the night. Does anyone care about this match? No. Was this segment funny? Yes. Did it serve a purpose? Kind of. Do I care about it long term? Probably not. So that's that. Then you get Karrion Kross and The Miz backstage. Let's just go over this quickly. Karrion Kross basically says, monsters come in all sizes, Miz, so you can totally beat up Bronson Reed. No, he can't. Miz is not he's not in the same positioning as he was like a decade or two ago. Not a decade or two, a decade ago. He's not that guy. He just isn't. He's not going to beat up Bronson Reed. He's not going to beat up Braun Strowman. It's not believable and it makes no sense. So stop with the Karrion Kross nonsense and stop having him be with people like Miz backstage and doing the same gimmick. Oh, you need to be better. Oh, you need to do better. Oh, you need to be better. Oh, you need to do better. Why don't you do better, Karrion Kross? You're telling everyone else how to do stuff, but you've never done anything in the WWE. You haven't won anything. You haven't won any championships. You haven't wrestled any meaningful matches. But you're telling Miz, a guy who's already won WWE championships before, you're telling him how to do his career. This is stupid. Then you get to the next thing. Actually, I really like this. Let me tell you this: Bronson Reed versus Miz. It didn't even happen because it ended up just turning into a brawl between Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. However, the good thing about this is that Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman is now going to have a last monster standing match next week on Raw. I wanted this to be on Bad Blood, like I said in last week's video when I was talking about how Bad Blood can be insane and even better than it already is. But, you know, it isn't even that good to begin with, I'll be honest. I mean, the card I came up with is a lot better than what we're going to get. But, hey, that's none of my business, right? I'm not getting $50 million like Triple H to book a garbage show. So, that's none of my business. But, yes, we're getting Braun Strowman versus Bronson Reed in a last monster standing match next week on Raw. And this match is going to be an all-out war, dog. I am really excited for this match. I thought it, and I hoped it was going to be on a PLE, but it's not. I'll take it on Raw. It's probably going to be entertaining. It's going to be a lot of high-flying moves from Bronson Reed, tables, walls, chairs, maybe ladders, you know what I'm saying? It's going to get insane. I hope they go backstage too. Like, it's going to be crazy, dude. It really is, and I'm really excited for that. Next, you also had something that I thought was pretty good as well. Io Sky and Kairi Sane basically had this backstage segment with Jaden and Bianca, and this was actually a decent, little promo backstage segment from Jaden and Bianca and Damage Control. Now, I'm going to say this right now. Damage Control and Bianca and Jade are elevating the tag team championships for the women's division. And you're probably saying, oh, what do you mean they're elevated? The tag team titles mean nothing. You're right. They mean next to nothing. But the point is that even a year ago, the women's tag team titles meant less than they do right now. You get what I'm saying? So the fact that it's now it means a little bit more because Jade and Bianca have them and they're in meaningful feuds with great wrestlers like Io Sky. Listen, Io Sky, in terms of in-ring wrestling right now, is one of the best in-ring women's wrestlers on the planet. On the planet. It's not even close. Everyone's talking about, oh, well, Julia's coming into NXT. Julia, whatever you want to call her. She is not going to be she's not even going to be a quarter of what Io Sky is in the ring. So just stop. I don't care what Julia did in New Japan and all these other places. Like, nobody cares about that. Can you do it in the big leagues in the WWE? Yes or no? That's really it's that simple. Obviously, it doesn't go for everything because you have talents outside of the WWE, like your MJFs, Christian Cage, Edge is in AEW, but he was also in WWE, so does that really count? You know what I mean? Like, does that really count? Probably not. You have other talents in other companies. I understand that. But someone like Julia, you can just look at her and tell she's going to be a jobber, and she's not even going to be half of what Io Sky is. And everyone compares her to like Kairi Sane and Io Sky and like Asuka and all this stuff. She's not going to be any of those people. She's not even going to be half as good as anyone I just named. So stop. But yes, Io Sky goes out there. She puts on a great match. Her and Kairi Sane do a really good job versus the Unholy Union. The Unholy Union are absolute jobbers, and they're not even half of what Io Sky and Kairi Sane are. And that's with Kairi Sane botching like multiple moves per every match she's in. But yes, this is going to be cool, and I'm actually very interested to see Bianca and Jade fight against the Damage Control because I think that's going to be a good match. I think it'll elevate the titles, and more importantly, it'll be an entertaining match that means something in the women's division, which we don't really get a lot of, and we don't really get a bunch of good feuds. But with Bianca and Io's history dating back like a year or two or whatever, how long it's been, this is going to be awesome, in my opinion. Next, after this might be one of the worst parts of the night. It might be the worst part of the night, actually. Drew McIntyre cuts one of the most underwhelming, boring, disappointing, repetitive, and awful promos of his career. And I'm dead serious. It was very disappointing watching this because Drew McIntyre, in my opinion, is someone who I consider to be at the top of the company. But with that being said, he's also one of the most inconsistent promo workers I think I've ever seen, like, in my life. In my life. One week he comes out, he cuts an amazing promo, right? He just bashes dudes. Like when he came out on SmackDown before Money in the Bank, and he was roasting Andrade and called him El Idiot, and he roasted Carmelo Hayes, he roasts LA Knight and Jey Uso and all those people. And then he goes from that, and he pretty much, cuts a mid-promo like the one we got tonight, and it's like, what is wrong with this guy? Like, seriously. I mean, this is just unacceptable. He comes out and he's like, well, Punk, I know your wife and your sisters told ya to not do this match, punk. However, punk, I think I'm gonna fight you in hell in a cell. And my wife, she told me not to do this match. And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? He's like, my wife told me not to do this match, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to fight hard because I can see it in your eyes that you want to fight hard too. And we're going to do this. And I'm like, what? You basically just repeated what CM Punk said last week, but said it in your own way and used your own examples of your own family. It's the same thing. And then he says, oh, I'm going to make you bleed. Like he's The Rock. I'm going to make you bleed, boy. I'm going to make you bleed, boy. You know what I'm saying? It was nonsense. And Drew McIntyre repeats pretty much every talking point that CM Punk said, but just uses it from his perspective, and then says he's going to make CM Punk bleed and he's going to go to war. And I'm like, how is this the best possible promo that Drew McIntyre's cutting with what now, like 8 months of build-up in this story? 8 months of build-up and pent-up anger and frustration, and this is the best promo that Drew McIntyre could have given us a week or two from Bad Blood? What? This was underwhelming. It was ridiculous. And I'm absolutely shocked that Drew McIntyre was capable of doing something this disappointing. I really am. This actually made me lose a tad bit of respect for him. This is one of the biggest segments of your life, arguably. You're a week or two from probably one of the biggest matches in your career, and this is the best promo product you're going to give us. Really. I mean, it was pretty embarrassing, y'all. I'm going to be honest. It made me rethink some things, but it is what it is. Then you have Gter. He pretty much had a segment where it was actually pretty funny, I'm not going to lie. Sami Zayn fought Ludwig in a mid-match, which nobody cares about. By the way, also, Sheamus got beat up backstage by Pete Dunne. And why is Sheamus ever getting beat up by a jobber like Pete Dunne 2 weeks in a row on Raw? Sheamus has beaten Big Show. He has beaten John Cena. He has beaten Roman Reigns. He has fought with the best of the best, and he's going to get beat up by Pete Dunne 2 weeks in a row. Pete Dunne is a certified jobber who lost to Trick Williams, and he's beating up Sheamus. Can you just sit and just think about that for a second? That is ridiculous. So that's just that. But anyways, Gter comes out after Sami beats Ludwig in a mid-match, and pretty much Gter basically says, he's like, Sami, this is the perfect week. He comes out in his ring gear. He's like, this is the perfect week in the perfect place in Ontario, Canada, or Ontario, California, to tell you you are not getting a title shot. And it was actually pretty funny. It was a good bit. I laughed at it. It was cool. And then Sami just looks around depressed, and that was pretty much it. I don't know what they're going to do with Sami Zayn next. We all want him to be the honorary Uce again, but I just don't know where you go with Sami from here, man. I really don't know anymore. Like, at this point, it's getting to the point where I feel like Sami Zayn and even his best friend Kevin Owens, like, these dudes are in their last years of their career, man. It's very evident because WWE is in that purgatory period with both of them. It's like, okay, we can give them a title shot, but they're probably not going to win. We can give them an actual mid-card title like they gave Sami the IC title, but we don't have the booking and the talent to make it an interesting reign with interesting feuds and good stories. So what do we do from there? And now it's just like Sami's just doing a revolving door. I say give him the honorary Uce. Give him like one more WrestleMania moment maybe in like a year or two from now. Not at this next Mania because he's had enough moments to last himself, okay? He got forced into, beating Gter this year at WrestleMania 40, which it really should have been like Chad Gable or someone else. But anyways, they forced him into that. He's had his moments. Make him the honorary Uce. Give him like a year arc with the Bloodline. And then I maybe give him like one more moment at like Mania 42 or 43, and then Sami Zayn will probably be retired by that point. Like, that's really what Sami Zayn is at right now, and that's just the facts. But yeah, anyways, I don't know what they're going to do with this feud. I just hope that the Sami vs. Gter eventual world title match does not happen on Bad Blood. It's not a good enough feud to warrant that, and it should not be happening like that. Side note, actually, as well, now that I'm talking about Gunter's World Championship reign feels like a secondary reign, if you get what I'm saying. Like, and not a secondary reign to Cody Rhodes necessarily, but just like on Raw, it feels like a secondary thing. Like when he comes out, it doesn't feel like the World Heavyweight WWE Champion is coming out. You get what I mean? It just doesn't feel that way. Like Jey Uso, Braun Breaker, even Rhea Ripley. Like when they come out, the crowd treats it and the announcers treats it, and even I kind of think that those people are just bigger than Gter. Like they're bigger, they're better, they're more interesting in my opinion. Gunter's been doing good promo work the last couple of weeks, good segment work. I'll give him that. The stuff with Bret Hart was really funny and cool, and this stuff this week was pretty funny as well. And it was, it was good heel stuff, good heel charismatic stuff. But there's something about it, man. I don't know if he just doesn't have the presence or something, but in the ring he's fine. But, like, on the mic and just outside of that, man, the world title just feels so secondary. Like, Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre, Rhea Ripley, and Braun Breaker, like, that's the real main event of Raw. Like, those are the main event, the real big stories of Raw each week. It's never Gter, and I think that's very interesting. You know, maybe he's underwhelming as champ so far, but they haven't given him anything to do, so it's like, well, I don't know what he's supposed to do about that. But anyways, then they also, quick side note, they replayed the Cody Rhodes segment in Roman Reigns' like cinematic segment from Friday, and it's like WWE has clearly ran out of ideas because this show is filled with like 55 billion commercial breaks, but they're still replaying the same content that we just saw on Friday, and they're replaying it on a 3-hour show on Raw. It's like either they're very proud of it, they want us to see it again, or they're just trying to fill up time, which they probably were. The Jey Uso and Braun Breaker match said up next at like 10:17 Eastern time, and then it didn't actually start until like 10:35. So they were definitely, just filling up the time tonight. But anyways, now we're at the main event. Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker. This match, in my opinion, was very, very solid. I think this was a pretty good match, bro. This match had an unpredictable finish because nobody expected Jey Uso to win this match. I mean, I did. I predicted it today, but that doesn't really matter, right? I assume that after some point of him just being so over and doing all these things for the company, selling all this merch, and, getting so over with the crowd and doing this grind of a singles run that's worked amazingly, I would just naturally assume, like anybody else, that this dude would get a title shot, which he did, and he won. And that's awesome, right? But the actual match was even more awesome. The false finishes, the kickouts, the camera work when they had Braun Breaker running out and hitting the spear. Then he runs out again to hit the spear and gets super kicked in the jaw. It was a great shot. And then he gets speared through a barricade. Jey Uso continues, brings him in, hits that last splash, and it's like, wow. Like, that whole ending, like, last 5 to 10 minutes of that match was really, really great stuff, man. It was unpredictable. I thought the Judgment Day was going to come in and cost Jey. They were going to pull the ref out of the ring. But no, they counted to 3, and shockingly, Jey Uso won the Intercontinental Championship, bro. This was an absolutely epic moment. This match was awesome, man. It was so good. To get this on Raw is honestly incredible, but this is the most important thing about this match. This match proves that the idea of long-term storytelling in 5 to 10 month stories is not necessary. Braun Breaker and Jey Uso had their first backstage segment, 4 or 5 weeks ago? And then we got the IC tournament. We got another promo last week with Jey and Braun Breaker, which was awesome. They both went back and forth and did a phenomenal job and really set this feud up more and gave it hype and gave it intrigue and gave it good segments leading into it. And then this week, we got a banger match that everyone was just shocked by the ending, and we were all invested into the match by the end of it. This is how you do storytelling. Storytelling does not need 5 to 10 months of buildup. It just doesn't. And I don't know why, Triple H and this new, fan base is basically just sold into this mindset that everything needs 10 months. It clearly doesn't. You just have to have great workers who can work on the mic, can work backstage in segments, and can work in the ring. And that's exactly what we got in, a 5-week or a month span. It's that simple. You had Jey Uso have a nice little mini story of him having to grind to get to the contender match, and then he gets to the Fatal 4-Way contenders match. He wins that. Then he gets to the next promo segment, does an amazing job. Then he gets to the match, and everyone's cheering for him by the end, and it's a massive moment. You see what I'm saying? And that was all done in 5 weeks. So why does every story need 10 months if you just proved you can create one of your better stories of the year so far, a very good story in my opinion, wrapped up in 5 weeks? This is just what I'm saying. I'm telling you right now, bro. People used to just bash oh, well, this is the best era of WWE. No, it's not. No, it's not. Vince McMahon, this dude, back in the day, I remember he used to do this, all the time. The titles felt like they could be lost or won at any moment. And part of that is good. Vince McMahon obviously lost his touch later in his career and became a bad booker. But for most of the stuff that he was doing, in the 2000s and 2010s, it works. You're supposed to, or not in the 2010s, I meant mostly in the 2000s and the early 2010s I thought was fine. But this is just how it's supposed to be sometimes, man. The Intercontinental title especially, and the US title, things of that nature, they should not need 5 to 10 month stories, bro. It just doesn't. You build a good feud, you do 2 or 3 great promo segments leading into the match, and then you have the actual match be great when it comes to in-ring work and the psychology of it and the false finishes and all the intrigue and the hype from the crowd and the moments in the match, the spots. That's all you need to do to make a great main event in a great feud in a short time span. This is how you build the title prestige. Not by making random guys like Gter hold it for 700 days. And he was wrestling good matches, don't get me wrong. He elevated that title, don't get me wrong. But still, You don't need that much time to elevate these championships. You really don't. Unless it's like a Roman Reigns where they're like one of the greatest WWE superstars ever, so obviously they're going to hold it for 3 or 4 years and, make it one of the greatest reigns ever. But if it's just like a mid-card title, or you're giving it to someone like a Cody Rhodes who's just a jobber for most of his career, and he's kind of just a mid-carder really in terms of actual like real talent. He's not more talented than like Rollins or, Roman or McIntyre, but he's the WWE champion. And you know what I mean? And when you're giving it to people like that, yeah, you have to give him long reigns because it has to feel prestigious, and it's not going to feel prestigious watching him week to week job out and do bad promos. But with someone like Jay, you can make this title reign very good, but you can also make it very bad. And that's the part that I'm nervous about because it's like, I don't want it to be a situation where it's like Cody, where everyone wants him to win and then we get it and then it sucks. You know what I mean? So I just hope it all works out. Jey Uso, great job in the ring tonight. He sold good. He did good moves. The super kicks were on point. All the other stuff he was doing was great. The antics with the yeet and everything. Braun Breaker was doing a great job of talking trash to the crowd and interacting as a good heel. Braun Breaker's going to be fine. He's already won a singles championship in like 4 months of being on the main roster, so this dude's going to end up winning world championship gold within the next year or two. His future's bright. He's going to go down as probably an all-time great wrestler by the time he's done, dead serious. But, Jey Uso, amazing moment, amazing match. This title reign hopefully will be good, but this moment, it feels good, man. It feels good. After an awful Raw show, to get this great main event definitely helped, leave a good taste in my mouth walking away from the show. But I would still give this episode like a 4 or 5 out of 10 max. And the only reason it gets that 5 really is because of Jey Uso, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, Damage Control, and then Jaden Bianca. So yeah, 5 out of 10 sounds about right. And Gunther's funny segment too. So I'll give you, you know what? I'll give you a permanent 5 out of 10. Maybe a 5.5 if I'm feeling generous, right? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed Raw if you watched it. And, deuces, ooses, yeet.